In the shadow of shattered oaths and blood-soaked soil, a knight's soul lingers, cursed, forgotten, bound to the ruins he once vowed to protect. Welcome to the ruin-haunted night. Your descent into darkness begins now. Our journey begins with a coat of matte white primer, laying the foundation for the haunted knight's descent into darkness. To forge the cursed armor's base, we blend Army Painter's rough iron with War Paint's retarder. This mixture ensures a smooth flow through the airbrush, capturing every shadowed crevice and worn edge. A few drops of retarder prevent premature drying, allowing the metallic tones to settle naturally. Stir until the concoction gleams with a dark luster, ready to breathe life into the haunted knight's form. With our airbrush loaded, we apply the metallic blend in light-controlled passes. Maintaining a steady distance and continuous movement ensures the paint settles evenly, preserving the intricate details without pulling. This technique builds a smooth, lustrous finish, layer by layer. To forge the cursed armor's base, we blend Army Painter plate mail metal with a few drops of War Paint's retarder. This mixture ensures a smooth flow through the airbrush, capturing every shadowed crevice and worn edge. Stir until the concoction shimmers with a spectral sheen, ready to breathe life into the haunted knight's form. With the plate mail metal loaded into the airbrush, we approach from above, mimicking the cold light of a sunless sky. Applying feather light passes, we focus on the upper surfaces, allowing the metallic sheen to catch only where light would naturally fall. This zenithal technique breathes life into the armor, enhancing depth and realism without obscuring the shadows beneath. The knight's tattered cape, once a banner of valor, now bears the stains of countless battles. To restore its crimson glory, we apply Vallejo game color bloody red in thin, deliberate layers. The first coat may appear translucent, allowing the metallic underlayer to shimmer through. Patience is key. Let each layer dry thoroughly before applying the next. With 2 or more passes, the red deepens, enveloping the cape in a rich, blood-soaked hue. This method ensures the underlying textures remain visible, adding depth and realism to the miniature. To evoke the weathered legacy of the haunted knight's armor, we employ a piece of foam to apply Vallejo game color silver. Dab the foam lightly into the paint, then gently stipple it onto the raised edges and surfaces. This method creates a varied multi-patina effect, simulating the natural wear and oxidation of aged metal. To ground the haunted knight in his desolate realm, we coat the base with Army Painter War Paint's Fanatic Ash Gray. This neutral gray offers excellent coverage, often requiring just a single coat to achieve full opacity. Apply the paint evenly across the base, ensuring it reaches into every crevice and texture. Once applied, use a blow dryer on a low setting to expedite drying, preserving the intricate details and preparing the base for subsequent layers of weathering and debris. The haunted knight's boots, worn and weathered from countless battles, require a touch that reflects their rugged history. We apply Army Painter War Paint's Fanatic Mocha Skin, a rich grayish-brown hue that offers excellent coverage and depth. Using a fine detail brush, carefully paint the boots, ensuring the paint reaches into every crease and fold. This color not only provides a realistic leather appearance, but also complements the overall grim aesthetic of the miniature. Allow the paint to dry thoroughly before proceeding to the next step. The knight's tattered loincloth, a remnant of battles long past, demands a hue that reflects its storied history. We apply Army Painter War Paint's Fanatic Carnelian Skin, a deep reddish brown that offers excellent coverage and depth. Using a fine detail brush, carefully paint the fabric, ensuring the paint reaches into every fold and crease. This color not only provides a realistic appearance, but also complements the overall grim aesthetic of the miniature. Allow the paint to dry thoroughly before proceeding to the next step. With the acrylic layer set, we delve into Phase 2, enamels. Mix 1 part Villainy inks Goon's grime with 1 part odorless mineral spirits. Blend thoroughly in a separate airbrush dedicated solely to enamels. This concoction will seep into every crevice, enhancing shadows and adding a layer of age-old grime to our haunted warrior. With our enamel mixture prepared, we proceed with caution. Using a dedicated airbrush, we apply multiple light passes of the goon's grime wash, ensuring each layer is thin and even. Maintain a steady distance and continuous movement to prevent the enamel from pulling or obscuring details. Patience is key. Allow each pass to settle before applying the next. This method enhances the depth and shadows, enveloping the haunted night in a veil of ancient grime. With the enamel wash settled, it's time to reveal the underlying textures. Using a clean cotton swab, gently dab and lift the goon's grime from the raised surfaces. Focus on areas that would naturally experience the most wear: edges, protrusions, and surfaces exposed to the elements. This technique creates a mottled effect, simulating the uneven accumulation of grime over time. As you work, the swab will pick up some of the enamel, which can be used to redistribute the grime to other areas, enhancing the natural variation in the weathering. Rotate or replace the swab as it becomes saturated to maintain control over the removal process. Continue this methodical approach across the miniature, allowing the interplay of light and shadow to bring the haunted night to life. With the initial enamel layer settled, we proceed to the second pass of removal. Lightly dampen a cotton swab with odorless mineral spirits, ensuring it's not oversaturated to prevent unintended removal. Gently dab and lift the enamel from raised surfaces and areas that would naturally experience the most wear: the edges of armor, protruding details, and high contact zones. This targeted approach enhances the contrast between shadowed recesses and exposed surfaces, creating a realistic, mottled effect. As you work, the swab may pick up some enamel. Use this to your advantage by redistributing the grime to other areas, adding depth and variation to the weathering. Remember, subtlety is key. Aim for a natural, time-worn effect that tells the story of countless battles endured. With the foundational layers established, we now reintroduce metallic highlights to simulate areas where the patina has worn thin. Using a small piece of foam, such as blister pack or pluck foam, dab it lightly into Vallejo game color silver, ensuring most of the paint is blotted off on a paper towel. Gently stipple the foam onto the armor's raised edges and surfaces that would naturally experience the most wear. This technique creates a varied, mottled effect, mimicking the random exposure of bare metal beneath the aged patina. Rotate the foam between applications to avoid repetitive patterns, maintaining a natural, weathered appearance. This subtle reintroduction of silver adds depth and realism, enhancing the narrative of a battle-worn knight. Time has not been kind to the haunted knight. His armor, once a symbol of might, is now a husk of corroded pride. In this phase, we introduce Dirty Down Rust, a water-soluble weathering effect that brings armor to the edge of ruin. This effect is unique. It reacts with water, allowing us to manipulate its strength and texture. Straight from the bottle, it delivers a thick, flaking rust. Thinned with a touch of water, it softens into corroded stains and fine oxidation, perfect for storytelling through surface wear. We begin with the pauldrons, breastplate, sword, and horns, areas most exposed to the elements. Use a slightly frayed brush to apply the affected irregular strokes and stipples. This helps break up the pattern, simulating how rust creeps along scratches, seams, and exposed edges. A damp brush or Q-tip can dilute and push the pigment, giving you control over how the corrosion blooms. The key here is restraint. Avoid building it up too quickly in one area. Let each pass dry before adding more. Apply the effect in layers, allowing each stage to tell a story, perhaps where blood once ran, or where armor has cracked and peeled. Each pass deepens the illusion of abandonment, of a night long untouched by honor or light. With dirty down rust, patience is rewarded. This is not just a color, it's the texture of history, the breath of the tomb, the corrosion of memory. By diluting the effect with water, sometimes quite heavily, you can feather it across the form. This lets you tint broad sections of armor with the faint stain of oxidation, building atmosphere rather than overpowering the details. These diluted passes work best across smoother, flatter surfaces. Move with the structure. Follow the edges of plates, the ridges of pauldrons, the gentle fall of the loincloth hem. This creates a sense of gravity to the rust, as though time itself pulled it down. Eventually, you'll feel it, the moment when the decay is almost perfect, but not quite. Now the brush becomes a scalpel. Lightly dampen it and begin lifting pigment away. You'll find that removal is as much a part of the process as application. By scrubbing, reapplying, and feathering again, the effect becomes less like paint, and more like time and weather taking root. Work slowly, let each mark feel earned. The haunted knight is not rusted by accident. He's rusted by legend, by failure, by centuries of silence. When you stop, not because it's finished, but because it feels right, that's when the armor lives again. With rust and grime etched into the knight's armor, we now turn to his blood-soaked banner, the ruined cape that trails his cursed steps. Villainy Inc.'s Decay of Death brings a new kind of rot, a faded, chalky green. This pigment speaks of damp, of slow ruin, of decay stitched in the very fibers of the cloth. We apply it in thin, uneven passes, allowing each layer to dry before continuing. A blow dryer speeds this work, helping the decay settle naturally into the folds and tears. The buildup is subtle, almost ghostly. It grows with patience, whispering over the red, desaturating and corrupting it without drowning its history. If needed, a simple swab can lift away excess, dialing back the effect and sharpening the contrast where wear and exposure are greatest. In decay, there is truth. In decay, the haunted knight finds his truest form. With layers of rust, rot, and ruin settled into his frame, we take up the final tool of restoration, a fine-tipped brush in Vallejo Game Color Silver. This past is about precision, about storytelling through scratches and gleams. We touch the smallest edges, blade tips, helmet crests, the corners of gauntlets, anywhere the hand of battle would have worn the corrosion away. As the paint wears off the brush, its intensity fades. Now, without reloading, we can use the softened brush to dry brush broader areas. Pauldrons, shield faces, the battered rim of a helm, bringing a subtle glint of battered life back to the surface. This method breathes realism into the decay. Finer points of silver remind us of sharpness, of a weapon still deadly beneath the corrosion. Broader sweeps suggest the slow polishing of armor by time, wind, and the friction of long marches into forgotten wars. Work sparingly. The brush is a fragile tool at this stage. Too much pressure and it will fray, losing its ability to dance across the form. But with patience, moving back and forth between delicate accents and dry brush weathering, the haunted night story sharpens into focus. From shattered plate to stained cloth, from rusted ruin to the final gleam of enduring steel, the haunted knight stands whole once more, his silence echoing across the forgotten fields. The haunted knight's vigil is complete, but the ruins still whisper. If you found inspiration in this descent into decay, subscribe for more painting guides, grimdark techniques, and the forgotten stories of fallen heroes. Your journey into the ruins has only just begun.